Welcome back. What is this? Pod number five?
Five.
Five.
Four?
Yeah.
Five. Wow. The big Cinco.
We're rolling.
Today we got me, Chuck, we got Valda, also known as Valerie, we got Dino, Big D, we got Roman Massey, also goes by Rome Dog. Today we will be doing what we always do, sharing some stories. Maybe Dino will do a little venting about Google. And we have a special treat for you. We're going to pull in some of the comments from our YouTube channel and see what they say, talk about them, answer them. So if you like that, you think that's cool, feel free to post up a comment on this. And if it's a good one, maybe you'll see yourself become YouTube famous.
Do this.
Let's start out with a Dino vent. What's going on, Dino? How are you?
Yeah, dude, I had that situation with Google. It was end of the last week, and I'm still dealing with it this week. It's related to their advertisement because first of all, like Google wants you to pay them money. So in my mind, they want to make it easy for you to start the ads and make it easy for you to spend the money with them so that they can be profitable and make some money because Google is in the business of making money. But the way they do it is not right. Like recently, they had some kind of update for their local services ads and Google ads, and it's just super weird. Like I've heard that from one of the support guys I talked to. Like it's not public. Like he basically told me, look, between you and me, Google had an update and they messed some things up.
It's such a double-edged sword, right? Like Google has added so much value to the world. They have created this online search platform that's so good that yesterday Roman was pointing out that another company called Ahrefs, don't ask me what that name means, they have the second biggest data center on the planet, right? Is that what it was, Roman?
Second biggest web crawler, but their data center is
crawler.
pretty massive. But yeah,
Yeah. So we have the second biggest web crawler on the planet. Google's the biggest web crawler, and the whole point is to know what's going on Google so that like people can do SEO and stuff. So isn't that
No.
wild? It's like Google's so big that the next biggest company's the only basis of that company is to like figure out what the hell how Google works.
Yeah, and they still can't figure it out completely.
Well, we always shit on Google a little bit, but today we should talk about the Nano Banana. You guys know what I'm talking about? They just came out with Gemini 3, and their image creation thing is called Nano Banana, and it's probably it's got to be the best image generator I've used so far. Like you can use ChatGPT, Midjourney, those kinds of tools. It takes like a minute, sometimes like 5 minutes to create an image. Google's Gemini will make like 10 images in like 10 seconds, and they're really good. And Roman, you were just telling me about a project you're working on. You want to talk about that a little bit, just to kind of demonstrate how you're using this AI tool to kind of speed up some things?
yeah. I won't give too much away, but I have a friend with a coffee brand. He wants to sell more coffee. I'm essentially creating a spin-off brand to help him sell coffee. And it's a project I usually wouldn't take on, but the fact that I can spin up all these brand assets in like 10 minutes and like put it all into a Shopify site and then run ads that are all generated from Nano Banana, like we can test it out with a few $100 and like very little time spent. And I mean, that's just amazing. Like to go full, like from nothing to full brand with ad assets and create and like all the image creative, and it's good. That's the biggest difference with this new release, Nano Banana Pro 3. It is so accurate in its the way it does its text, and like it's almost able to like think through every individual element of an image and then piece it all together, rather than like, I don't know, the typical way that most of these image generators work, which is not that way. But this one, like you can open up the thinking panel and it shows it like sequentially thinking about every element of the image and how to make each one accurate and then piece it together. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so I was using it a couple days ago to make some shirts. So I took the one that Zoe designed, this first one, and I just started making different versions. And like if I go down to the bottom, I threw in this image. I just was looking online looking for inspiration. I'm like, oh, this one looks kind of crazy. And I put that in and it produced this. The digital soundscape. I mean, how cool is that?
Those look
I
awesome.
also saw what was it? Something yesterday where people are taking QR codes and then they're making like images with the QR codes, but it still works as a QR code.
That's pretty cool.
Amazing.
Let's try like make a version of these shirts with a guy swinging a hammer looking like a chameleon. See what that does. But this stuff's crazy. I was just reading this morning, like Nvidia stock was down a whole bunch today because Google's new model, it runs on this different kind of hardware. And I was reading about it this morning. Google's been developing this custom hardware for since 2015 that's only designed to run their stuff. And so it's able to run like 60% more efficient than like your typical GPUs that are used for AI and whatnot. But I mean, look at that. It took like 10 seconds. And
Yeah, it looks good.
we have like a few different shirt options.
Cool.
And like, you guys know what vibe coding is? Vibe coding is like when you sit in front of a computer and you basically have AI code stuff for you. And there's actually a ton of jobs popping up for vibe coders. And in the last year, like I'm probably qualified to do all these jobs just because I've built a whole bunch of apps using AI.
Yeah.
But this is like the future. Like I feel like people who used to be web developers, coders, they aren't adopting the AI like people like me are. People like I've always wanted to code stuff, but never really like wanted to put in the time to learn how to all these different languages and stuff, and so I never did it. Now with AI, you don't have to know this stuff. You just have to be creative and be able to troubleshoot things. And so I think the people that are coming into this stuff today, learning it through AI, they're going to be the ones getting all these jobs because they're going to be able to code the same amount as 50 engineers, but they're going to be able to do it themselves. And they might not know how to code that great on their own, but they know how to run AIs and get stuff done. So
Yeah.
That's funny. I was in a room last night having a discussion about this because guy number one mentioned that he had never used AI before. That made me kind of reflect on like, and Chuck, I think we're on the same level. Is that like I've had every single AI subscription available for the most part. I've paid for all of them continuously for the past 3 or 4 years, like since like 2021, 22 when they started coming out. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. My subscription bill is horrendous. It's crazy to me that there's that big of a spread where like some people have never used a single AI tool. Some have only used one platform. And I mean, everyone needs different levels of it. Obviously the work that we do, Chuck, it's become so reliant on all these tools and we have to stay at the cutting edge. But this stuff goes deep. And I think that's something everyone listening should know is if you've never used AI, the other end of the spectrum is having 17 subscriptions and paying $1,000 a month to have constant access to all of these things. And then every spare moment that you have free, playing with them and pushing them to the limits.
yeah, I've been doing that. I got super into it. When was it? The end of 23, October 2023. So just a little over 2 years ago. I was able to create this app by copy pasting stuff from ChatGPT. And it took me like 8 hours to get this thing working. And I was floored. I was like, this is absolutely crazy that I was able to do this. Today, I can make that same app in about 4 minutes with one paragraph of text and clicking one button. Entire app done. And so definitely like staying on the cutting edge is important. Just yesterday I wrote content for 9 different web pages, and where before I would write an outline for every page and then I'd go through the outline, I'd fill it in, and it would take me probably 8 hours to write this content. My workflow is completely different now. I start with the outline, and then I put it through AI with all the information I've gathered about what I'm writing about. And then I experiment with different prompts, and I'll do one. It'll spit out all of the content in about 30 seconds, and then I'll read through and be like, okay, this isn't what I wanted, and I'll start over, and I'll do it like 3 or 4 times until it's like, okay, this is about 80% what I want it to look like, and then I edit it. So the workflow is completely different. It's like, imagine writing a book, but instead of writing it word by word, you're just creating it all of a sudden, and then like doing that over and over and judging the final product or something close. It's a completely different workflow, and it's difficult. Like I've just developed this over years. I understand natively how AI can help me, and so I do it that way. But I think people coming into it, they'll do something and they'll be like, "Oh, this isn't perfect, or this isn't good enough. Like AI isn't very good, or whatever." And so then they just drop it. And so it's like it takes a completely different approach to be able to use it. You can't have the same workflow you used to have. It has to be something like completely new.
To layer on top of that, Chuck, I think it's also important to keep restating that the AI isn't the thinker. We're still the thinkers, and the AI is an awesome tool to augment our the skills and knowledge that we already have. And I think if it's used to replace that, it's not very effective. At least right now,
Totally.
everything
It's kind of
changes
like
every 6
fishing.
months.
It's like fishing. Like you fish and you catch something. Is it good? You keep it. If it's not, you toss it back. Like that's how AI is now. It's so cheap to produce something that you just produce a whole bunch of stuff and figure out
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, what input produces the output you want.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up is because I see a lot of content online of, especially marketers, trying to like sell this dream, but they're also not really showing like the 10 years where they were learning all this stuff that allows them to be super fast now with these tools. It's not a replacement for
Yeah.
that. It can augment your existing skills. It can help you learn faster, but you still have to know what's going on to really make the most of these tools.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Otherwise you just end up with some mediocre stuff and you have no idea.
Yeah. Like I would never tell someone new to all this that they can go out and create a whole brand from scratch in 5 minutes with full ad campaigns and imagery and copy and landing page and all that. I mean they technically could, but they wouldn't maybe they wouldn't know what's good or how to prompt it.
Like I can build a whole website with AI now. But when I do that and I just say, "Hey AI, here's the content, build this website," some parts look good, some parts look crappy, some parts are super weird. And so like I would never publish that. What we actually started doing recently is we'll go through and we'll say create 5 versions of this section, 5 versions of this section. And then we'll go through and we'll pick the one that's closest to what we want, and then we'll go through and like design it ourselves. So it's a way to speed it up and visualize things, but it's not yet to the point where it can just do it all for you. And my feeling, like my gut tells me that when we get to the point, because we'll get to the point where AI just builds a perfect website every time. You're still gonna, it's still gonna be those human engineered websites that do the best, because they're gonna look a bit different than the billions of websites that are just AI created. Like it's always the new thing, the thing that stands out, the thing that's a bit better than everything else that works. And AI in a lot of ways is that thing right now. But once it's ubiquitous and all these people that don't use AI now are just using it for everything, that's going to be commoditized, and it's going to be the human artistic like stuff that sticks out. That's going to be the unique thing. That's my instinct anyway. All right, let's bring it back on the rails a little bit. Dino or Val, do you want to talk about the messed up website issue that we just faced?
Yeah, so we have this one client that we worked with for the past, I believe it was 3 to 4 years, and they've been doing really, really good. And then what they decided to do is they basically wanted to go with someone else that's local to help them kind of redesign their website and do some updates like that because they could meet them in person. They did that. They redesigned the whole website, and the website looks okay. Like there's nothing wrong with the new design in a way. It's fine. But unfortunately, the technical part of the website wasn't done right. So they still wanted us to host their website, which we said yes to because they were a client for quite some time, wanted to help them that way. And yesterday, that lady that designed the new website reached out to us, and she basically says, "Hey guys, like we did a contact form test and we didn't receive a email notification." And I went in and I found out a bunch of broken things. Like first of all, there was a captcha like basically to confirm you're not a robot, which was broken, like it wasn't working. So first of all, like the form wasn't letting anyone fill it out, like you just couldn't do it. That was the first issue, so I fixed that. I go into notifications of the form, make sure the client is set to receive them, and no email was added to receive those forms, so that wasn't added as well. Third thing is like the emails weren't configured to be sent from the website, so even if someone did fill out the form, like if those first two things were done right, still the client wouldn't get an email. And unfortunately, this happened, like they switched the website around like a month ago, and knowing how much this client gets leads, like this probably cost them like 15 to 20 grand, definitely. So it's one of those small things. If not done right, they can kind of cause you a lot of issues and, kind of stagnate your progress. I go in to check out the rest of the pages, and a bunch of things got broken, because the website just isn't built the way it should be on the technical side of things. So now they have a website that needs to be fixed. Like they spent a lot of money, it wasn't functional, and it's broken. So unfortunately, these things can happen if you kind of give your website in wrong hands.
So the moral of the story is only work with us.
Pretty much. Like I mean, it's kind of it's mind blowing to me because like I don't want to go too much into detail about this lady like that built the website. I talked to her a few times. She seems nice, but she probably just hired someone else to do that. Like she probably isn't technical or doesn't know much about websites. She just sells that. It's mind blowing. She reached out to us to fix the issue, because we are the other agency. Like, of course, we're gonna tell the client what's wrong, and all these sort of things. So in my mind, like they should have just fixed that and not really come to us. But it is what it is, Now they know.
So I hear that a lot from the clients. When I'm in consultations and then we're trying to figure out things that oh, my website is fine. I don't need to rebuild it. How can you actually know if your website is fine on the technical side? Is there any way to know that as a client, as a non-professional?
It's tough. You can, but you need to do a regular website testing, like such as form testing. Like test your form every single week or every 2 weeks. Like make sure you receive an email, it doesn't go to spam. Like just go over all the website pages, make sure nothing is broken. Test it from like incognito mode on your browser. A lot of these different things, but that's just basics. Like if you're not really technical and familiar with the websites and the platform the website is built on, you won't really know, and something can go wrong and be wrong for a few months without you realizing and noticing. So we've seen that happen. Like one of the potential clients we talked to recently, like we went to their website and their forms were missing. Like you would basically say, hey, fill out this form below, reach out to us, and then the form wasn't there. We were like, hey man, like your form isn't on the website, how are people going to reach out to you? And he's like, well, I don't know, I don't know what to tell you. So these things happen a lot when you don't watch out for any issues.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is a couple things. Like one, really do your due diligence when you hire a professional to help you do things that you don't understand. Um, Especially like in this case, they already had a website that was working really well. They get, 50 plus leads a month. And so there's a lot to lose if something breaks. So it's even more critical. But in general, like A, do your due diligence. B is if you do work with a really good company like us, we test all that stuff and we show them. Like when we launch a new website, we test the forms. We ask like, "Hey, did you get that?" We double confirm everything. We we show them the website, all the pages. Like we do all that kind of stuff for them. So I think in this case, like our client probably just got used to that and they just assumed everyone did that
Mm.
because we were probably the first marketing company they ever worked with. Um, but as in with any business owner, you like your something as important as your website. Like this thing is supposed to pour fuel on the fire of your business. You got to make sure that stuff works. Like you should you're the buck stops with you. Like if it doesn't work, it's your fault. Even if someone else messed up, like if it goes a month or I think it's even been like 6 weeks, uh, and it's broken, like that's on you. No, even if someone else did it. So at a minimum, like go through, look at the different pages, make sure that they look okay, like test the forms yourself, make sure that everything goes through. Like those are just kind
Mm.
of elementary things that we take for granted, but um as a business owner, like you got to be on top of that. Like that's it's kind of like I don't know, never changing the oil in your truck. Like it's going to break eventually.
Mm.
And if you never check it, like you won't know until you're on the side of the road somewhere.
Mm.
Website, same way, except you just won't be getting any leads. So,
This is what I
Absolutely.
wanted to add to Chuck. That yeah, you need to take your website first of all as a tool and not as a visual thing, because a lot of people firstly just take it visually. It looks good, therefore it's fine. Actually, it needs to work first, and then it's fine.
yep, there's a
Absolutely.
purpose. Usually the purpose is to help us make more money.
Yeah, kind of the crazy thing I've seen is some of the, in a way, less good-looking websites can produce better results because it, like, it's if a website is too good looking, it kind of deducts from what you want people to do on the website, which is to figure out whether or not they want to hire you. If you have a bunch of animations, things going around, they might be interested in your website and let's play with this a little bit, but then they go to a different website that just has all the info they need, which is worse looking websites than yours, and they just go with that company. So it's kind of a balance between looking good, being clear and simple, and basically providing potential customers with all the info they need to figure out whether or not they want to work with you or someone else.
Yeah, we do have that sometimes, right? You know, when the client has the particular way in his mind how he wants things on website, and you're trying to explain him that, you know, this is not the best way. It will not produce what what you need. That the tool will not work the right way because you want it this way. There's a technical part of it, right? You know, that
Yeah,
you need.
absolutely. Yeah, the thing we see the most, it's mostly related to remodelers because what they do is they would go to these high-end websites of some super nice like architectural companies or like builders in LA, Miami that build those like 20, $30 million homes. And when you go to their website, the only thing you can see is like top 10 of their projects, and that's pretty much it. And clients come to us and they ask us, hey, can you build something like that? We don't want any text on the website. We just want nice looking photos. But then, first of all, that they didn't work on any nice projects. Like their projects are okay, but they're not really awesome, and it won't work with the SEO. And the reason why these companies can go away with it is because they get work some other way, not really through the website. But if you want your website to work for you, it needs to be built a certain way.
Yeah, there's like a trend, especially in like I think the techie, maybe AI space, where I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're websites where you kind of like as you scroll, like stuff slides in from the
Mm.
sides, and like you're not scrolling down, like you're scrolling, but like it's making stuff kind of come in from everywhere. I always get so distracted by that stuff that I end up leaving because I can't pay attention to the content because I'm
Mm.
all this stuff is so distracting and weird. And that's the thing about websites is like almost every website on the internet has a header, has little navigation buttons, has a logo on the top left, phone number on the top right, has a hero section with a big image. And like they're all laid out the same. And so it's kind of like when I pick up a book, like I just assume that the copyright's in the front and then the glossary, and then I'm going to read left to right, so I can just pick up a book and read it. If I pick up a book and the glossary's in the back and the order of pages goes in reverse, like I'm not going to be able to read that.
Mm.
And so as humans, we're all just super used to the way websites are typically built. that if you stray from that, it'll it'll completely mess up the user experience in most cases. I can't say every case, but for like local businesses, trades businesses, remodelers, plumbers, those type of, like, you don't want some crazy design. You want the most basic regular stuff that when people land there, they see what they're looking for immediately and then they call you. You don't want to get in the way of that, and it's super easy to do with all these crazy designs.
Yeah, dude. Like some websites when I visit, like I can't figure out how to use them. You know, like there isn't a menu anywhere. Like there isn't. How do I go to a different page? So me, that's been building websites for the last like what 6 7 years, can't figure out how to use them. Like, how do you expect someone that's like 55 to use them? You know, that barely knows how to use a computer. So that's not really something these people think about when they are designing these kind of websites.
Bless you, bless your heart. You think 55 is old.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Oh
All right,
gosh,
guys, let's talk about some comments. We had some fun ones.
absolutely.
Let's start with perhaps the most controversial content I've ever made in my life.
Mhm.
I With a little backstory. So, my family's been doing remodeling forever. We work with this electrician we have for 20 plus years, and a few years ago, I found out that he was making like $1,200 an hour installing lights up at a private golf course nearby, where the homes are worth like 10 to 20, maybe more $1 million.
Mhm.
And
Bad.
so I told this
No.
story, and there was like an uproar of comments. So many people are like angry, like, "Oh, that's a ripoff," or "It's not fair to charge different prices. You should charge the same price for everybody," and all this stuff. And it's just kind of telling of the mindset of a lot of people,
Mhm.
because and I fell into the same category, like in my early 20s. Like, I didn't know much about the world, and I would say the same thing, like, "Oh, $1,200 an hour, like that's a total ripoff. Like, that guy shouldn't charge that. Like, he's evil, capitalism bad, all this stuff." um but it's interesting how many people miss, like, usually it's people that have done something like this before, or have, like, worked on nicer homes. They immediately call out, like, what if you're installing a light that costs $1,500
Mhm.
and you're installing 10 of these things, and what are you going to charge, like, $40 an hour? Because if you, like, accidentally drop and break one of those lights, like, you're on the hook for that. And so the risk to you is much higher than if
Mhm.
you're just installing like a regular $5 light socket. And it's just interesting how many people really attacked that whole idea
Mhm.
of charging more.
Well,
Socialism
And
finally reached you guys.
what's that?
most of them just got pissed
Socialism
because
finally reached you guys. You can't do
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
craze. It's a craze these days.
yeah,
But
dude.
to wrap it up on that guy's story is, like, this guy's driven the same 30-year-old truck the whole time. Like, I'm sure he does this, but we do this, semi frequently, where we'll talk to someone and they need something fixed and they don't have the money. Like, we'll give them a good deal. We'll help them out.
Mhm.
And we can do that because when we install $1,200 or $1,500 lights, like, we charge accordingly, and we can make more money doing higher risk things.
Mhm.
And I that was called out in one of the videos, and some people were attacking that guy, just saying, uh, like, "Oh, I'm sure he doesn't do that. Like, he doesn't help anybody out. He's a
Mhm.
whatever." What the moral of the story, or the message I want to get across, is, like, to check your own thinking sometimes, and your own biases. And if something triggers you that hard, like, that's kind of a warning sign to maybe take a step back and be like, "What am I missing here?" Because if you're in business and you think that, like, that's gonna backfire on your own business, and you're probably not going to charge the right things, or when you do, you're going to feel bad about yourself and things like that. And so, I don't know, do you guys have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people are kind of pissed because they can't charge that much hourly. So they want to kind of shit on someone that is able to charge that much. That's definitely the case for a lot of these people. But like you take any company, like almost no company always charges the same price, even if they do the same thing. Like different projects and require different kind of pricing. So it's not always the same. That's the thing. But people are just weird. They're gonna understand the way they can. Like you can explain it to them, but you can't really understand it for them. They need to be able to figure out kind of themselves.
Well, and to get a little bit into sales psychology, for all of us, what's cheap and what's expensive is completely different thing. What's
Mm,
cheap for Roman, maybe it's not cheap for me.
mm,
Or what's expensive for me is not expensive for Chuck. So it's super subjective thing. And the first thing what we all see is a number, 1200. And our mind gets us into this quick evaluation. Is it cheap or expensive for me?
mm,
So like Chuck mentioned, you need to check your bias as a owner of the business. You need to see where are those lines for you and think differently, think out of these lines.
Yeah, I
absolutely.
agree. They always say like don't price things out of your own pocket. So
Yep.
like you might go to charge something and think, "Oh, that's a lot of money. I should probably knock that price down." But you're pricing it off of your own your own frame, just like you just explained. I think the right approach is to try to approach it completely from the frame of your customer. Like figure out who you're talking to, how much they know about this, what's cheap and expensive for them, what their budget might be for this. Um, I've actually had that backfire on me where I priced a kitchen remodel too low and the customer went with someone else, and when I one of the rare times where I found out why, they said, "Oh, your price was seemed unreasonably low." And
Mm,
like that's a kick in the balls because I lowered the price thinking I need to get this job.
mm,
So, perfect example, like if you price things out of your own pocket, you can screw yourself over big time.
absolutely.
Yeah, not only it should be priced from client's perspective, it also should be priced from your business perspective. You as a business owner pricing it, like you said, it can be that this light fixture you're installing is like 2 grand. What if something happens? Who will cover it, right? How much you should charge to make sure that everything goes smooth even if something happens. So that would be the first two perspectives. And of course, obviously, you need to get the job. That's the next one.
Facts. All right, we got a comment for you, Dino. Let's pull this thing up here. All right,
Mm.
so Nikolai asks, is it true that we shouldn't go more than 25 to 30 miles from our business address because that way Google detects the business is not local? And so this was from a video where I was talking about location targeting on your Google business profile. So Dino,
Mm.
how would you answer Nikolai?
Yeah, so it depends on a few things. We have clients that basically work in like 10-mile radius. We also have clients that work in a 100-mile radius. It really depends on how far are you willing to go and what kind of business you're in. Second of all, like just figure out what's the possibility because you might be able to rank in 50-mile radius, but you might not also be able to rank in outside 2-mile radius. So what I would suggest to Nikolai is sign up for local Falcon, like do some scans of your business, see where you show up, see where your competitors also show up, and that's going to give you an idea on how far away can you go and rank in what area. But also, like you might want to do business in 30-mile radius, but your business profile on Google will only show you in like 5-mile radius. The only way to reach that entire radius is basically either to have multiple locations or to do paid advertisement. So that's kind of that's the options that he has.
Cool. Let me pull up
What if?
a. Go ahead. I'm going to pull up a screenshot of Local Falcon so you can illustrate that point.
Yeah, sure. I had a question. Would it also depend on like population density? Let's say if I'm in Chicago versus some small place, in a countryside, it would be completely different, let's say, radius.
It depends on competition. Like if you're the only remodeling company in Chicago, like you're gonna show up in the whole Chicago. But if you're in an area with 1,000 people and you have 20 remodeling companies, like you won't show up. But chances
Okay.
are, the higher population, more companies, the more competitive it's gonna be, whatever the market is. So it kind of makes sense. But what Chuck's sharing right now is a tool called Local Falcon. It basically allows you to see your position on Google Maps, and each one of these bubbles represent how well you show up on local searches on Google Maps with different kind of search terms or keywords. And basically, this in the middle where it shows green, this is the location of that company, and it shows their radius and where they are showing up for the services that they do. Where it's basically showing 20 plus, that means there are other companies that Google is showing to these customers in these areas, because it is proximity based. So the closer you are to someone, the chances are Google is going to show you up higher than someone that's 10 miles away from from whoever is searching, pretty much. So this is how that tool looks like. So definitely check it out. Like, it's super cheap. Test it out, and that's going to give you a good idea on how far can you go, and how much can you show on Google Maps.
Yeah, just to
So
further
this is
explain that a little bit, the the question was like how far of a radius should you choose? And it when we do this from a marketing and lead generation perspective, we're not paying attention to like how far are you willing to travel for work, because we don't have the option to just show up everywhere we want to. This little map right here, like this customer, they probably serve this whole area, but you can see that they're only showing up. This is about a 4 mile radius. So as far as Google Maps is concerned, Google Maps is only showing them within like 2.5 miles from their location. And that's why this company, when they set their Google business profile, like they might only set like a 5 or 10 mile radius, because they really want to get as much as they can close to home. If they set a 100 mile radius, Google's going to like dilute their focus, so to speak, and Google's not going to like might not show them very well anywhere. Maybe they show up in more places, but it's like they just show up so low on the list that no one ever sees them. So by really focusing their targeting on a small area, they might be able to be more relevant in Google's eyes and actually capture a small chunk of their market organically, meaning Google just shows them here without having to pay for it. And then the same company will use local service ads and Google ads to show up in this whole area. Because if you're paying for it, Google's willing to show you almost anywhere you choose. But organically, you're only ever going to show up close to home if you're in a competitive area. The less competitive it is, meaning the fewer options Google has to show somebody, the bigger the area you can cover. We have a client who covers like the entire state of Maine because there aren't that many competitors. Meanwhile, this electrician, they're only showing up in a 4 mile radius because there's electricians everywhere, and Google's not just going to show them 25 miles away when there's 100 electricians between them and that location. All right, guys, I think that wraps it up. Any closing comments?
Yeah, only if
What are we
anybody
going to
has
talk
any
about next week?
questions. We still have a lot of comments we're gonna cover in the next one. Also wanted to say, like, I've seen some people leaving comments in our podcast, so be sure we'll come to you in one of the next podcasts and definitely answer your questions. Anything you're not sure of, you want advice, you just have a question, ask, reach out, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, guys.
Yep.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for watching.